1. Index. The Temple of Barcelona's Sagrada Familia. 3. The Madrid Sky Gate. 4. The diagonal sun line between Madrid and Barcelona. 5. Cultural relationships between Spain and Hispanic America. Summary by chapters and conclusion.
La Universidad Politécnica de Madrid, a través de UPM Press, acaba de publicar el libro Madrid Stonehenge, de la Puerta del Sol al Arco Solar Meridiano Cero. El libro demuestra que la impronta del Sol sobre Madrid es equivalente a la que tuvo lugar en Stonehenge 3000 años antes de Cristo, enmarcando mediante trilitos los rayos del Sol al amanecer del día más largo del año y los del ocaso del día más corto. Estas coincidencias solares se repiten en Madrid, pudiendo apreciarse si hubiera una atalaya situada en el río, quedando alineadas la muralla, la calle Mayor, la plaza de la Puerta del Sol, cruzada en diagonal, las Cibeles y la Puerta Alcalá. Para convertir esta idea en realidad, el Principito ha vuelto a la tierra, siendo ahora un universitario que fomenta la unidad entre los 500 millones de hispanohablantes a través de su imaginativa Puerta del Cielo. Como lugar de encuentro de lo que fue y sigue siendo Madrid con su Puerta del Sol, el meridiano cero del planeta Tierra.
Part 1. Background. Fire of the schools and the workshop of the Temple of la Sagrada Familia, 1934. Gaudí was born in Reus, Tarragona, in 1852, and he was in charge of la Sagrada Familia when the sacristy had begun in 1882. In 1926, Gaudí died, having finished the temple's nativity facade. In 1934, the schools of the Sagrada Familia, along with the temple and the workshops where Gaudí stored all the samples and construction gypsum, were burnt down and destroyed. 4. Invention of the reinforced concrete by Freycinet in 1920. New composite material. It's important to remember that when Gaudí designed La Sagrada Familia, the reinforced concrete did not exist, nor the idea of incorporating steel in masonry of brick or stone. The reinforced concrete consists of arranging a form work box with the shape of what you want to manufacture to build. Although the necessary steel bars are first arranged in the form work box so that it can withstand the capacity of traction. After this is arranged, you will pour a liquid that will harden the next few hours. Gaudí and the vaults of the Sagrada Familia schools, moving them via sail. Adele's 2002 proposal not considered. This author proposed moving the school in one piece by sailing with his invention patent, since it was evident that the temple would end up on top of the schools, giving their temporary location. In the end, the Sagrada Familia Board of Patronage, together with the National Patrimony, decided to cut the schools into pieces, rescuing only 3 doors, 1 front and 2 corners, for their new location, rebuilding the rest with existing ancient bricks. 6. Gaudí and the vault of the schools of the Sagrada Familia, cut to pieces. Only 3 parts have been used with their 3 doors, and everything else has been rebuilt. The transfer was proposed to be adjoining the site of the Plaza of the Sagrada Familia, remaining with a background of cypresses. To do this, we had to make a raised channel with a sand at the edges onto the ground, including a plastic to fill it with water and generate the flotation of the building after construction of its waterproof lower hull, only about 60 centimeters. Perforated brick that transforms into hollow brick to be able to assemble vertically. The possibilities of assembling the brick vertically was achieved by this author in 2000 in the construction of the Millennium Arc, for what a perforated brick was designed so that it could be transformed into a wide, hollow, vertical brick, rearranging the perforations appropriately to achieve it. Here is the case of the brick flower, ladifloor, where after a lateral cut, the flower could be removed, leaving a wide vertical hollow without having to look for special bricks. The vertical reinforced is undertaken laterally by using only mortar with the brick work. Contrary to the immediate idea of arranging bricks with the large vertical voids to fill them with concrete, which is not practical for the masonry. The all-wall system achieved vertical reinforcement by lateral access of the pieces, flower brick, against the previously arranged reinforced, and using only this brick with its mortar arranged by hand by the mason. The 3D invention of this author was presented in front of the Plaza de Congresos of Madrid at the 12th IBMAC. Part 2. The Barcelona's Temple of la Sagrada Familia. Crypt of the Colony Gual President of the Temple Sagrada Familia. Before building the schools of the Sagrada Familia, Gaudí experimented in the crypt of the Colonia Gual, the catenary geometry of the loads that the upper temple, not built, would give rise to. For this purpose, he even built a model with bags of lead, spheres, and wires that, when seen upside down, the mirror represented the inverse of the materials and forms of what he intended to build with stone. It should be noted the importance of arranging the inclined supports following the load directions. The Sagrada Familia Forest. Gaudí's mentality in relation to architecture and its relationship with nature was perfectly captured in the nave of the Sagrada Familia, where a set of supports rising inclined towards the sky opened like tree branches to support the roof and the various towers above them. Jesus, Holy Mary, and 4 evangelists. The arrangements of the light with its stained glass windows of different colors to the east and west from a singular space of original luminosity. Comparison of the structure of the Colon Cathedral with the Sagrada Familia. Gaudí's intention to achieve a slim support than the Gothic nave of Colon, the largest at that time, is well known. To achieve this, Gaudí obviated the flying buttresses over the lateral naves and pinnacles of the Gothic crutches by centering the direction of the loads with the supports to avoid thrust. His invention was to arrange the inclined pillars in the direction of the loads. Both churches could hold maximum of 12,000 parishioners between the columns of their naves. The 18 towers that culminate Gaudí's Sagrada Familia with vertical parabolical section. The Temple of the Sagrada Familia is a tribute to the Catholic religion, dedicating its towers to the Gospel, 12 to the Apostles, 4 on each facade, Nativity East, Passion West, and Glory South. Another 4 to the Evangelist over the main nave, and another 2 to the Virgin Mary over the altar, and to Jesus over the transept, the latter being 172.5 meters high and marking the highest temple in Christianity, with a viewpoint over Barcelona in the form of a cross. Nativity facade made entirely of natural stone during Gaudí's lifetime. During Gaudí's lifetime, the architect was only able to finish the facade of the Nativity with all its sculptures and religion references. It is important to note that only one handed sculpted stone ashlars were used, and the four towers of the Nativity facade were placed on top of each other in pairs, and it can be visited with their very original spiral staircases. In addition to the stone sculptures of the Nativity scene, the towers are finished with ceramic tinakites, glory facade, and reinforced concrete. The tower are to be built. In 1968, the Spanish government published the first seismic norm, contemplating it in a degree of mathematics, far from the geometrical rules of Gaudian calculation. This led to the obligation to use steel and in stone masonry, being then impossible and forced to use reinforced concrete in the core of the elements, covered by thick stone cladding. Nave side gables, prefabricated fiber reinforced concrete. Later, with the development of variants of reinforced concrete with lightweight aggregates and glass fiber, the side gables of the temple naves were formed with the fine finish of the mold. The use of precast, which is glass reinforced concrete, was subsequently abandoned. Simultaneously, other stone bodies were being built, which were adorned with brightly colored plant motifs, as shown in the picture, made from the pieces of ceramic. Prefabricated construction of the towers with the stone models with structure of steel profiles and reinforced concrete. The construction process was definitely accelerated when the press-dressing steel was used, though previous perforations in the stone alshars compressing them together. This made it possible to prefabricate the models of the last towers in the workshop, which were put into place using steel support and reinforced concrete between the models. Numerical cutting by machine for a single piece and hand hammering for an antique look. The technological and computerized evolution of numerical controls makes it possible today to shape perfectly finished stones, regardless of their complex geometry, reserving them for the special piece of the temple. However, the prismatic cut of the ashlars to be joined together pre-stress would give a smooth outer face that would contrast too much with the beginnings of the temple. This would make it necessary to chisel and hammer out the exposed face by hand. Panoramic view of the current Sagrada Familia with the Mediterranean in the background. The volume of the Sagrada Familia, located in the heart of the city as an expansion area next to Barcelona diagonal, stands out for its geometry above the octagonal blocks of the surrounding area. The height of its towers just out over the sea of the houses in Barcelona, with the last tower dedicated to Jesus standing 172.5 meters above the city and nearing completion. The proximity of the Mediterranean Sea shows the setting in which the ancient Roman city of Barcino is situated with the Cedra extensions of the 19th century. Viewpoint of Barcelona through the cross of the towers dedicated to Jesus at 172.5 meters high. The highest tower of the Sagrada Familia is expected to be completed by 2026 to commemorate the centenary of Gaudi's death. The Tower of Jesus, which, like the others, will have interior stairs to enjoy them, will culminate in the three-dimensional cross with transparent areas through where you can enjoy the views of the city of Barcelona from what will be the highest Christianity temples. Gaudi's Temple of the Sagrada Familia and Madrid Sky Gate by Adele. Part 3. The Madrid Sky Gate. Recreation with drones of the finished Sagrada Familia with its parabolical towers. In 2024, given the generalized advance of drones for nighttime light effects, they have been used to spatially and volumetrically shape the final finish of the towers of the Sagrada Familia. This has offered the public the illusion of seeing the temple with its 18 towers finished. It is proposed to be inspired by the parabolic geometry of the towers of the Sagrada Familia, taking two for Madrid. Gaudi's Teresian school parabola arch obtained by overlapping bricks. Gaudí experimented a great deal with parabolic arches, attic of the Casa Mila, of which we are interested in highlighting those to the Teresian school. Its main doorway is obtained by overlapping the bricks of successive courses until they form the parabola of a wall with a flat surface. On the other hand, if the successive courses of the overlapping bricks are rotated, Gaudí himself built Solomonic pillars in the college itself. However, Gaudí could not do both at the same time. Wrapped parabolic geometry which generates a double inertia with greater economy. Starting from a very thin, flat surface such as a sheet of paper, it is shown that if the sheet is slightly curved at one end, it acquires great rigidity. If a parabolic arc is cut out of the sheet by simply rotating the lower ends of the arc in relation to its upper part, it acquires double rigidity, which rises it above the base. Given the wrap geometry created in the space with double inertia or with half the material. Madrid chair and parabola obtained with overlapping and rotation of blocks between them. If we look at the Madrid chair by this author made for the Solar Decathlon 2009 in Washington, we can see the same geometry as described above. Thinking of changing the size of the shape to the height of the skyscraper and using repetitive prefabricated materials. The construction of the wrap parabolic arc is proposed simply by rotating and overlapping some blocks over others, which entails the loss of any verticality which will force it to be pre-stressed at the same time. Scale constructions of the Madrid solar arc by architecture students. The professor students of the Madrid Polytechnica University devoted a seminar to the construction of an arc with two wrapped and presented parabolic arches supported by their columns. Their construction made with the same 60 by 25 by 20 centimeters white tongue blocks perforated to thread the pre-stressing between the pieces, and in sections they were able to build the double arc without the need of formwork and with the single type of modular piece, which greatly economizes the construction process. The blocks cantilevered and rotated out of the vertical thanks to being pre-stressed. The successive rotation of 1 degree and slight overlapping between pieces pretensed on the inside in sections made it possible to build this double arc without formwork at a scale of 9 meters. Of the real proposal, 270 meters of the skyline of Madrid. This achieves the joint pre-stressing and its stability outside the vertical. See the meeting of both arcs at the keystone with pieces at 90 degrees to start. In the urban proposal of spherical viewpoints will be incorporated into the keystone to enjoy the views of Madrid. Giraffe with non-pre-stressed falling sideways and pre-stressed stretched and standing. Due to the rubber bands, the shown picture of a typical children's game visually described the effect of the pre-stressing and the arc blocks against each other. Thus, on the left, after squeezing the lower part of the giraffe with the finger, its inner rubber band loses tension and the finger collapses. On the other hand, if you take your finger off, even if it's very quick, the drawstring shortening the rubber tightens all the pieces to make the giraffe rise on its own from the ground. 4 patents of invention of the UPM by Adele. Wrapped and pre-stretched arc. As previously mentioned, in a quick and simplified way, exemplifies the patents of the invention of this author on behalf of the UMP. On the left is the description of the priestess wrapped in arc with a single type of model, and on the right, in more detail, the 12 by 3 by 2.5 meters prefabricated models built in an automotive workshop, incorporating stairs, lifts, guide, and installations of 4 priestess cables in perimeters. 4 patents for the invention of the UPM by Adele. Centerless wheel, self-leveling lift. This arc will incorporate the invention of the new type of Ferris wheel without a central structure, as it would follow the perimeter of the arc, either over the arc or its soffit, from the ground to the keystone with its spherical viewpoint. For this, it will be necessary to articulate a variable cabin fixing system from both bottom to top and from left to right, in order to maintain the verticality of the Ferris wheel, the passengers, despite its arc route. Viewing the sky of Madrid, 25 meters, in the key of the pretension double-winged arc. As can be seen in figures 26 and 27, this wrapped double parabolic arc shows 2 different elevations, the parabolic arc shape and the one similar to the section of the Eiffel Tower, both arcs culminating in the upper sphere of the keystone, which can be used as a lookout point. The 12 by 3 by 2.5 meters module rotates by 1 degree, and the cantilevers from height 3 meters to height to 70 meters. Invisible from a distance, it forms a continuous geometry that incorporates solar panels and red lighting out on the outside. Let's continue with part 3. The Skygate of Madrid in relation to the towers of the Sagrada Familia. The image shows at the same scale the comparison of the size of the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona with the Skygate of Madrid in their elevation. The one facing the city, east-west approximately, with the empty spaces of the parabolic arc, will host the sunset. The other facing the Manzanares River, north to south, has 2 connections to the 2/3 of heights. This will allow you to pass from one start to the other to enjoy more views or to avoid fires. Location of the Skygate in Madrid. Overall, a mall parabolic arches, arranged in the direction of the diagonal of the sun. The infographic shows the arc in its full dimension, incorporating at its base a mall and cultural center in Madrid, Rio. From the viewpoint, the monuments of Madrid align on the diagonal of the sun, ancient wall, Calle Mayor, Puerta del Sol, Cibeles, Puerta de Alcalá, will be observed. The arc is located on the outside of an existing discotheque. Now let's continue with part 4. The diagonal of the sun between Madrid and Barcelona. Gates of Madrid, Arab city, 11th century, with its extension to the northeast. Looking at the old picture of the ancient wall of Madrid with the Puerta de la Vega facing the river, the location of the future arc is marked. Following the next walled gates of Madrid's growth in a non-easterly direction is the Almudena Gate, the Guadalajara Gate, and the Puerta del Sol Gate. The Arab Gate of Guadalajara is blind and prevents the sun from passing through it, forcing the visitor to break through. The Madrid Sky Gate, located outside the historic town by the river. Here, the area of the location of the Madrid Sky Gate. It will be built on the present discotheque site next to the river, south of Segovia Street and the outside of the historic quarter. Its orientation faces the diagonal of the sun, red stripes through the space above the gardens of Atenas Park and Cuesta de la Vega. Arab Gate of Guadalajara with defensive towers, access in the dark and with a reinforced zigzag-like entry. The plan of the old gate of Guadalajara, where the market of San Miguel, shows the defensive building on the ancient wall. The Puerta del Sol in the Christian period shows exactly the orientation of the contemporary street Mira el Sol in the Rastro area of Madrid. The diagonal of the sun from the Skygate Arc continues until crossing the Alcalá Gate. Location of the sun in the arc keystone of the Puerta del Sol shining gate. The Puerta del Sol was demolished in 1570 and was located in the center space between the plaza and the Buen Suceso Hospital. It is elongated space. The central arc of the Puerta del Sol was luminous because it lets the sun pass between the door and its keystone, or, according to other authors, a sun was sculpted in the keystone. Hence the name of Plaza de la Puerta del Sol, or perhaps the Sunset Gate. Madrid, with its closing of the Puerta del Sol, is declared capital of Spain by King Felipe II in 1561, King of Spain and Portugal. In 1561, the King of Spain, Portugal, and Spanish empires named Madrid as the capital of Spain, which included the conquest of America and the Philippines. Since Spain, there were never colonies, but annexions where the same Spanish rights remain. The sun's journey in the tropic zones, Madrid, Barcelona, with the sun's diagonal, observing the sun's path in the space between summer and winter, solstice. Passing through spring and autumn equinoxes, we can see the difference in the height of the sun to the south of the observer. As long as the day lasts in the summer compared to the duration of the day in the winter, between the sunrises and the sunset, the diagonal of the sun, it's a line that runs between the sunrise of the longest day and the sunset of the shortest day of the year. The present Puerta del Sol Plaza has a semicircular shape since 1858. In the left image, you can see the winter solstice sunset in the Puerta del Sol gate that was located in the middle of the plaza. In the right image, you can see the remodeling of the Puerta del Sol square in 1858, harmonizing the axis of the streets, demolishing buildings to leave a semicircular floor plan. The diagonal of the sun line in the plaza between of La Puerta del Sol gate in the Stonehenge, England. Synthesized plan of the current plaza of La Puerta del Sol plaza in the form of the semicircular and fan with its 7 streets following the division of a clock, with the north of its axis of the street in the meridian of the known world in the 16th century. Note the diagonal of the sun line between Calle Mayor, Calle de Alcalá. This fact is very similar to the monument of Stonehenge, Great Britain, where the sun passes through the cornerstone, crosses the circle through the thrillet, and reaches the central thrillet, highest of the inner horseshoe, making the ortho of the summer solstice. Puerta de Alcalá. The eye of Puerta del Sol gate in the diagonal of the sun between A, B, Puerta del Sol, C, Puerta de Alcalá, and Alcalá. View of today's Puerta del Sol plaza with central arcs, oculus of the old Puerta del Sol, located in the plaza, marking the 2 solar diagonals between the solstices. Urban view of Madrid with the diagonal of the sun between the Puerta del Alcalá, the Puerta del Sol, and the river, where the Madrid Sky Gate will be located as a higher thrillathon to welcome the sunset inside the arc. Solar effect in the central thrillet of Stonehenge, image of the solar effect produced in Stonehenge since 3,100 years ago, which was repeated in an equivalent way in the central arc of the square and the Madrid Sun Gate, as well as the plant of the points A, B, and C of the British monument before mentioned. Sun effect at the Puerta de Alcalá gate, equivalent to the previous of the Puerta del Sol gate. Spatial view of the sunset on the diagonal line of the sun from the Puerta de Alcalá with the solar effect, crossing diagonally the plaza of the Puerta del Sol until it sets inside the Madrid Sky Gate, which rises from the river. The diagonal of the sun follows Madrid's Mayor's Street and crosses the Puerta del Sol in diagonal. The diagonal of the sun over the city of Madrid, which gave its name to the Puerta del Sol plaza from Madrid Sky Gate, located in the Madrid River, to the Puerta de Alcalá, running along the Calle Mayor and Calle Alcalá. The diagonal of the sun axis between Madrid and Barcelona by Calle Mayor de Alcalá and Ciudadana. Extensions of the diagonal of the sun from Madrid to the Mediterranean Sea, whose axis passes through Alcalá de Henares, city of Roman origin Complutum, and the village of Ciudadana of Arab origin, surrounded by cliffs. The diagonal of the sun passing Alcalá, Calle Mayor, Complutum, Roman city, 1st century before Christ. The diagonal of the sun passing through the Calle Mayor of Alcalá de Henares, where the houses of Cervantes the Greatest, figure of Spanish language, is located, and from where the cities of Hispanic America were traced, with streets of Cardo north-south and the Cumano east-west, originating from the Roman cities with their central plaza and their meeting points. The diagonal of the sun passing through the main street of Ciudadana, small village and with Arab castles, 1153. The diagonal of the sun along Main Street of Ciudadana, a small village surrounded by cliffs with its Arab castles of defense conquered in 1153, with a later Romanesque church from the 12th century. Diagonal of the sun from the Mediterranean Sea, Barcelona to Madrid. Characteristics: widening of the Cedro plan in the city of Barcelona with its grid arranged diagonally 45 degrees with respect to the north, south, and with the diagonal of Barcelona Avenue crossing it to the Mediterranean Sea. After leaving aside the Sagrada Familia and coming from the axis of Diagonal del Sol from Madrid, it is constituted in the aerial highway between both Spanish capitals. North-south extensions quadruple with the Sagrada Familia, the diagonal Barcelona and Sea. Night view of the diagonal of the sun and the diagonal of Barcelona from southwest to northwest, geographically in the vicinity of the Sagrada Familia of Barcelona, located in the grid of Cedra's 19th century extension plan in Sanche. Conclusions between Sagrada Familia and the Madrid Sky Gate. Watchtower of Madrid with 5 levels. Design and creation of the Sagrada Familia only with natural stones. 2. Post-construction with reinforced concrete with stone veneer. 3. Some fiber reinforced precrust concrete areas. 4. Towers, prefabricated Pre-stressed stone walls received. 5. Reinforced concrete, more devastated between steel support and reinforced concrete backfills. 1. Skygate inspired by the parabolic towers of the Sagrada Familia. 2. 270 meters high, extended double parabolic wing arc design. 3. Located in Madrid, Rio, with views of the city on the axis of the diagonal of the sun, Calle Mayor Puerta del Sol, Cibeles Puerta de Alcalá. 1. Stonehenge, diagonal of the sun between sunrise, longest day, and sunset, shortest day. Diagonal of the sun axis along Calle Mayores, Madrid, Alcalá, and Ciurana, and diagonal. 3. The diagonal of the sun links the peninsula between the Gate of Heaven and the Sagrada Familia. 4. The diagonal of the sun connects Spain with Hispanic America in relation to the route. 5. The Spanish language has been sailing with the sun and orbiting the whole earth since Felipe II. The Sagrada Familia in Barcelona and the Sky Gate in Madrid, through the diagonal of the sun, spread the culture of Christianity and the Spanish language throughout the world. This lecture is based on these two books, Madrid Stonehenge, de la Puerta del Sol al Arco Solar Meridiano Cero, and The Little Prince and the Sky Gate. These can be found in Quam website.